guidance. The City of Vincent would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay our respects to the elders past and present, acknowledging that the City of Vincent has a role in working towards reconciliation and justice for First Nations people. I haven't received any apologies, but I do notice that Councillor Ashley Wallace is yet to join us. So I'm hoping that he's going to be on his way. Moving straight to public question time, can I get an indication whether any of the members of public present would like to speak? Okay, thank you. You can just come forward. Please state your name and the suburb in which you reside. And if you could please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And it is live stream, so if you don't want to appear on the live stream, please just let us know at the beginning of your remarks. Who would like to come forward first, please? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Cole, CEO and councillors. Leslie Fleury, 79 Sass Ave, Mount Hawthorn. I'd like to request the following information regarding the City of Vincent's expenditure on legal services for 2023 and 2024 financial year. Specifically, I'd like to know the total amount spent on engaging legal advice, including payments made to Dennis McLeod, Glenn McLeod and other legal professionals or firms on a general retainer used by the city. Number 2, the number of lawyers currently sitting on legal panels with retainer agreements with the City of Vincent. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to also note that Councillor Wallace has just joined us. If we could have that, please, acknowledged. Okay, hello, thank you.
Dudley Meyer Highgate. It's about 9.1 and 11.5, which are both to do with policies, and 11.5, yep, which are policies to do with heritage grants. So firstly, I'd like to thank the council members who asked questions during last week's briefing. One of the responses in the briefing notes from the acting manager is that funding policy sets out clear eligibility criteria for funding assistance. They then quote the totality of the criteria, which is one sentence: property owners with a place on the City of Vincent local heritage list and or state register of heritage places or within the heritage area. That's it. That's all the criteria. Staff will prepare guidelines, but council have no overview and you'll have no formal approval. Last week I did mention that I thought heritage in Vincent was a mess, and I speak from personal experience. Potted history is about 2005, 2007, City employed some consultants. They went out, did a comprehensive review, found that there were certain properties that had heritage significance. There was a small number, but there were a lot of other properties that didn't meet the criteria, the borough charter type criteria, but as a group provided some heritage or character value. So I call them character areas. That's my wording, not theirs. So essentially there were two groups. It was a very messy and confronting process, which eventually saw a compromise with Category A, which is the true heritage properties, and Category B, which is more the Clayton's list. I own property which is on Category B. Most importantly, Category B was not complete. But it was a huge political battle at that stage, 20 years ago. Subiaco having big issues. At one stage, Vincent had a ceremony here to encourage people to have a listing to celebrate it. One of the heritage officers, Vincent used to have two, described that as the worst day of my working life. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. So what happened is a compromise was reached. Category A and then the pretend Category B with a few hundred on it. Just look at the city's mapping system, pick some heritage properties that are listed, and then ask yourself, why are the neighbours not listed? And it's got nothing to do with heritage value. So the list's incomplete, and that means that some people are benefiting while others with similar properties aren't. So what I'm saying is grants should be looked at very closely, make sure that they cover the real cost of keeping a heritage place. And by that, I mean the new Category 1 and 2, which is the old Category A. And it shouldn't just be about fixing up a person's old house. I personally could have obtained over $17,000 over the last 10 years. So I just see that as middle-class welfare. I'll give you another example. Around the corner from me, There's a couple, they got at least 2 grants. They just sold the property for $2.2 million. So I think you need to look at this closely, and rather than just leave it up and have middle-class welfare, do it properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to address the meeting? No? Okay, so a summary of your remarks are going to be included in the minutes, and responses, if they are required, will be in the agenda of the next council meeting. The items that you've spoken on will be brought forward on the agenda and discussed first. So there being no further questions, I close public question time at 6:06. Governance, can you please confirm if any written statements were received?
Yes, through you, Mayor Zanon, we have received questions in writing from Christopher Hilton of Perth and from Dudley Mayer of Highgate, none of which relate to items on this evening's agenda. These have been circulated to council members, and responses to each question will be provided in the April council agenda.
Okay, I haven't received any applications for leave of absence, but would any councillor like to make an application tonight? Okay. So I understand we have not received any petitions, or we don't have any deputations or presentations. So now we get to the confirmation of minutes, and we ask that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 11th of February 2025 be confirmed. Is there a mover for that? Moved Councillor Warner, seconded Councillor Castle. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Okay, so I just wanted to make a few announcements. Obviously, we had the election, the state election this weekend, and I would like to congratulate the ALP government on their re-election, and also acknowledge that it's going to be, I think, an interesting and therefore productive upper house, and we're waiting to see what happens in terms of that final count. Particularly congratulations to the Honourable John Carey, our member for Perth, and Frank Polino, who is soon to become the Honourable Frank Polino, the member for Mount Lawley. Both of those now members made a number of election commitments throughout the campaign, and I look forward to seeing all of them realised here in Vincent. There were a number of commitments, some relatively small, some quite significant, for upgrades to a number of our community groups and our facilities, and I'm looking forward to seeing them come about very soon. But I particularly want to say how much I'm looking forward to the upgrades, the long overdue upgrades to Forest Park, and of course the big announcement, which was the $30 million to go towards the establishment of the Little Italy precinct. I think that's going to be an absolutely significant piece of work here in the city of Vincent, and I was very pleased with that announcement. I also look forward to continuing to work with this government, not only on these, but on many more things that I'm sure that they will be funding here in the city of Vincent over the next 4 years. I have a big list that I'm really quite happy to be working with them on, and looking at future opportunities. One of those big opportunities I'd like to mention with this government would be the total revitalisation of the East Perth Power Station and the surrounding precincts. I just want to say a big congratulations to the City of Perth for, sorry, not the City of Perth, Perth Festival, I should say, for the wonderful job that they did down at the East Perth Power Station. I think it really gave some insight into what could be achieved on this site. It was so well attended, and particularly by residents of Vincent, it was absolutely marvellous. And I really hope that we are going to be successful at some point in having that entire area transformed into a cultural precinct. I think it shows the sorts of developments down there which really resonate with the community and really help to highlight all that is good about Vincent. On that, I'll say I'm less keen, I'm afraid, on the election announcement about the racetrack down at Burswood. I am yet to find a single resident who's happy with that. That area of Burswood is already very green, very beautiful, well utilised on the weekend, and also a lot of it has been restored as a wetland and nesting grounds for birds. And I think, as someone who lives over towards that end of the world, one of the things I do note is that noise carries over the water particularly. And I think the sound of revving engines and screaming cars is not something that's conducive or consistent to high density inner city living. Much prefer the sound of mighty cheers as we hear sporting games going on and the like. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe there's going to be opportunities to reconsider that, and I'm aware that there are a number of councils further out that are really keen to get this facility there, and it could probably be done twice as well, twice as big, with half the amount of money. So let's just see. Let's see what happens, but I'm certainly hoping that maybe that one can be reconsidered. But having said that, really looking forward to working with the government on all their announcements and all the many, many other things that I'm sure they are going to fund for the City of Vincent over the next 4 years. So, CEO, I'd like to go to the declarations of interest. Councillors will remember that at the briefing last week, I raised the question about item 12.3 and whether I was deemed to have a conflict of interest on that, raising also my concern that if I unnecessarily precluded myself from the chamber, I could also be in breach of the Local Government Act. So I needed to get some advice as to where I stood in terms of my participation on that item. CEO, could you please read the advice that we have received from WAG in relation to this matter?
Yes, UMEC, I'll confirm it's an exempt. There's an exemption from the financial interest provisions because it is essentially a reimbursement of an expense for a work-related event, being training, travel and attendance at local government related conferences. So you're not required to declare an interest on that reimbursement. Okay.
And my understanding then is that if I'm not required to do that and yet I decide to leave the room, I am potentially in breach of the Local Government Act. So I will be not declaring that particular conflict. Are there any other conflicts of interest that have been presented?
Through you, Mayor Cole, yes. Sorry.
3 times.
Sorry. Apologies. Through you, Mayor Zaman, a declaration of interest received from Councillor Wallace in relation to item 9.1, which is the revocation of policy related to Heritage Assistance Fund, noting that Councillor Wallace has a property on the municipal heritage inventory, is not seeking approval to participate in the debate nor to remain in the chambers nor vote on the matter. That's a financial interest. Similar interest received from Councillor Alexander in relation to that item, both 9.1 and 11.4, the policy and also the amendments to the community funding policy, noting that Councillor Alexander also has a property listed on the heritage inventory, and that's a financial interest, not seeking to participate in the debate nor to remain in the chambers nor to vote on the matter. And Councillor Warner declared an interest, financial interest in relation to the same item 11.5, noting that Councillor Warner is involved with community and not-for-profit organisations who rely on City of Vincent community funding programs to sustain their endeavours and won't be seeking to participate in the debate nor to remain in the chambers nor vote on the matter. And that's all that's been received for tonight.
Mayor Zaman, that's right. Are there any other councillors wish to declare any interest in relation to any matters? Councillor Wallace.
Thanks, Mayor Zaman. I'd like to declare an interest in item 11.5 as well for that same reason. Our house is on the heritage inventory and that policy does cover Heritage Assistance Fund.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wallace. Does anyone else have any other interest they need to declare now? Okay then. So We don't have any items which are the subject of a question, comment or deputation from members of the public. We don't have any item. Oh, yes, sorry, we do. Is it 9.1 and 11.5? Yes, sorry, we've got 9.1 and 11.5. We've got items requiring an absolute majority decision is 11.4. And items, then of course we've got the items which are 9.1 and 11.5 where we've got the interests declared. So in addition to that, Councillor Warner, do you have any other items? Councillor Wallace? Okay, Councillor LaFontaine? Councillor Castle?
17.1.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, Councillor Greer? Councillor Alexander? Councillor Wolf?
9.2 and 12.3, please.
9.2. Councillor Hallett? Right, I'll just go through the items we're going to debate. Okay, noting that item 12.1 has been withdrawn, it is proposed that items 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, 12.2, 12.4 and 12.5 be passed on block. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Hallett, seconded Councillor Alexander. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. So now we'll move to item 1, which is 9.1, outcome of advertising revocation of policy number 7.6.9 Heritage Assistance Fund. Do we have a mover for this item? Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you very much. Before we commence, Councillor Alexander and Councillor Wallace, if you're able to leave due to your declared conflict of interest. Thank you. Do we have a mover for this item? Moved Councillor Wolf. Do we have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Castle. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the comments from the public gallery, both this week and last week, and the information we received from administration. After giving all of that consideration, I am comfortable with the proposal, and that's because the Heritage Assistance Fund will continue to operate. We will continue to have oversight of the fund through the community funding policy. And personally, I don't think it's appropriate that a policy contains administrative processes. And I agree that those administrative processes are better placed in guidance material. I was glad to see the mention that the guidance material will contain examples such as the types of projects that are going to be funded. I think that's a step in the right direction. But what we do hear from the community is that this space is very challenging to navigate. I think we talked about this last year as well. So in terms of that guidance material, to me, it will be absolutely crucial that it's extremely clear, that it's advertised widely, that it's easily searchable, and if possible, there's some contacts with that people can actually talk to go through the details. And given that we will be potentially removing some of this detail from the policy, I think all of the above is important as well, just from that transparency perspective. Thanks.
Councillor Castle.
Thank you, Mayor Simon. I'm happy to support this item. I want to thank administration for their work on this, and I feel much more comfortable and it's better aligned dealing with this item together with the item 11.5. That was one of the reasons I wasn't keen to support the revocation when it first came before us last year. But now we can see how everything lines up, how people who do want to access this particular stream of grant funding can do so. I agree with Councillor Wolf's comments about transparency, and while some of these things don't appropriately live in the policy, it is important that the community has access to guidance and how that can be applied. And equally, that council will be kept well informed about how these grant funding streams are being interpreted and applied and what level of applications we get, so that if necessary, we can review those in the future.
Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Councillor Wolf, is there anything you wish to say? I'm going to put the item. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Are you able to invite Councillor Alexander and Councillor Wallace back into the chamber? Thank you. Yes, I am. Oh, sorry. I've just realised we are actually going to go straight on to 11.5. So I summons them, but now I'm going to boot them out again. Sorry, guys. We're going to go straight to 11.5. So do you mind? So no, that was my fault, not yours. I asked, I called for you and then realised that, sorry. And Councillor Warner has also left the chamber because of a conflict of interest. So we get to 11.5, outcome of advertising and adoption of amendments to community funding policy. Do we have a mover for this? Moved Councillor Castle. Do we have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Greer. Councillor Castle, you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm supportive of this as well. And I was assisted in that with the detail that was provided in the briefing note. So thank you for that. I think that while this does streamline the process and it does make sense to have a coordinated policy, there are a number of different streams falling under it, and it is important that we and the community understand what those streams are and what the criteria and the guidelines for how they'll be approved or assessed. So thank you for that. And I'll look forward to seeing the new web pages that will be developed to support that and hopefully see a great uptake in what is being offered by the city. Thank you.
Okay, so does anyone else wish to speak to this item? Okay, I'll put it then. Sorry, the seconder had indicated it didn't need to speak. Okay, all those in favour? Okay, carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Can someone please invite the three councillors back? Thank you. Is Councillor Warner joining us? Welcome back. Okay, so now we go on to 9.2, road dedication of various rights of way. Do we have a mover? That's Councillor Wolf. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wallace. Thank you very much. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to Trent and Michael who attended the briefing in support of this item. I support moving forward with the request to the Minister for Lands and the next steps that are detailed in the report. Based on the report, I'm confident that the three rights of way do meet the legislative requirements for being considered as a road. The process will support naming our laneways, which in turn will improve wayfinding and activation And I'm aware we do have some other projects within the City of Vincent that seek to do that. And in my view, the more we can encourage that, absolutely, the better. In the case of lot 67, the recommendation will help to fix the anomaly where half the road is owned by the City of Vincent, and it will help to support a future development opportunity there as well. So any work that we can continue to do around those anomalies, I think will be greatly appreciated. And in the meantime, I wish the owners of 129 Loftus Street all the best with their development proposal.
Here. Is there anything you'd like to say? Would anyone else like to speak to this item? I'm happy to put the item. All those in favour? Okay, carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we move on to 11.4, which requires an absolute majority, and that's the mid-year budget review 24-25. Do I have a mover for this? Moved Councillor Castle. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Hallett. Councillor Castle.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to support. It's always nice to see a positive result in our mid-year budget review, and it gives us the opportunity to address some of the areas we'd like to improve financially. I think this is a fairly balanced way to do that, that both addresses our reserves and some extra costs. I wanted to ask a question just for clarification. On page 82, there's a table that refers to the service areas and the budget increase, decrease, and the final item on that is a $285,000 decrease due to delays in procuring a supplier to carry out the food business inspections. I think I know the answer to this, but I just want some clarification. Those business inspections, food business inspections, have still been carried out just by in-house staff instead of a contractor. Is that correct?
Mayor Zaman, that is being carried out by internal staff, and it is limited. It doesn't have the capacity, I suppose, to do what an external contractor would be able to do, but they are still being carried out by internal staff.
So while we might be dealing with that decrease at the moment, I'd be right in assuming there's a plan to try and address that issue?
Mayor Zaman, yes, is it intended to have the contract commence at the start of the next financial year? We're looking at commencing it towards the back end of this financial year, but the timelines wouldn't permit. So we're making arrangements for that to start in the new financial year.
And is there a risk that we will not be fulfilling our obligations to inspect food businesses as it currently stands?
Mayor Zaman, no, because this is still to provide health assurances rather than a mandatory service or a function that needs to be provided. But nonetheless, it's something that local government should be providing. So we'll be looking to correct that in the new financial year.
Thank you.
Councillor Hallett.
Thank you. Only just to add, I think through the Mayor, just congratulations to the Beatty Park staff for their work in dealing with increased demand and the positive impact that has on budget and also just general engagement with community. And really pleased to see the repayment of high interest debt amount that's going into that, as well as the asset sustainability reserve, because I think that's a very important strategy for us, that and it's nice to see that that's been initiated in this one. So, and thanks to the finance team.
Anyone else wish to speak to this item? Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. Absolutely happy to support these mid-year budget adjustments. I just wanted to also extend my thanks to Reece and the team for always briefing us so well at workshops. So when it comes to the formal council decision, there are no surprises. Really appreciate it.
I'd also like to make some comments as well. I'm also very grateful to the team for the transparency particularly the workshops around what's happening with the detail. I think this is a good mid-year budget. I think it indicates we're well and truly on the right track. I like the fact that we are paying down debt, as Councillor Hallett said, but also that we're still investing in those particularly large programs like the underground power scheme, which is so critical. It's such a game changer for our council. I also like the fact that we are really putting a big focus on going back to basics, the tree planting, the status of the footpaths, those sorts of things as well. So the fact that we are seriously looking at trying to deal with what perhaps has been underinvestment in this area for some time, but we're really stepping up on that. So that's really good. So overall, feeling pretty comfortable about where we're sitting financially as a council. I think that's good. Does anyone else wish to speak on the mid-year budget review? Okay, so Councillor, is there anything you wish to say? In that case, noting we need an absolute majority, I'm going to put this item. All those in favour? Okay, so that's unanimous, and which means we also have an absolute majority. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to item 12.3, which is the National General Assembly of Local Government 2025. Do we have a mover for this proposal? Moved Councillor Hallett, seconded Councillor Wolf. Councillor Hallett.
Thank you, Mayor. I find this one interesting because I wouldn't have thought it was one of the most contentious policy initiatives Vincent has done over the years, but it kind of has been when we've had feedback from other levels of government. I think it's great that we've been able to champion this locally, and the level of interest, particularly around the inner city mayors group, in seeing a broader enactment of 40k zones in residential areas. Absurd that both major parties were opposed to this prior to the election. Really nice to see it go through, hopefully through Wowga. The central zone of Wowga was very supportive, so hopefully it goes through WA, and very much support it going to a national conversation. And, going onwards, we've had past conversations around 30Ks as well, and I know that that's where other jurisdictions in the world have headed, but it's nice to see at least the 40K being discussed at a national level and fully endorse the Mayor being a very good spokesperson to champion that at a national arena.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll echo a few of Councillor Hallett's comments. I think it is absolutely appropriate for Mayor Zaman to attend the NGA, particularly given the opportunity there to advocate around some of our major projects, and we certainly do have a few of those in the pipeline. Looking at the theme, the national priorities needing local solutions, we're certainly seeing a number of national issues playing out in Vincent at the moment. For example, PSHB, the accommodating population density, and I think this will be a really useful opportunity for networking and informing our strategies to some of those national issues, and very much look forward to hearing how it goes. On the 40K motion, absolutely happy to support the proposal around that. It's an award-nominated project and it has such huge potential to save lives across the country. So wish administration all the best in passing that motion through the next stages, as well as in the advocacy efforts that we heard from the CEO last week.
Does anyone else wish to speak to this item? I'll just make a few comments. If council decides that they will be supporting this item, it's also my intention not just to attend that conference and to do the lobbying, but to also take the opportunity to meet with some of our national representatives as well. We'll see who is in government and who are the ministers at that point. But we have a number of national matters that I would like to be able to talk to the relevant ministers with about face-to-face. So that would be part of my intention of going as well. Does anyone else wish to speak to this item? Councillor Hallett, did you wish to say anything in conclusion? Okay, I'll put the matter. All those in favour? Okay, carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so now we get to point 17.1, which is a confidential item Okay, so I think at this point I just need to call for a mover for 17.1. That's for a vote to go behind closed doors. That's what I'm doing now. So, sorry. Okay. All right then. Okay, so firstly, I just need to ask, are there any questions in relation to this item? There's no questions that people are going to be asking. We may not have to go behind closed doors. Will there be any debate on this particular motion? Trying to get an indication. We've, of course, had a briefing on this extensively. Okay, we may not have to go behind closed doors. Yes, that's all. So I'm trying to get an idea. Do we have a mover for this item? Okay, that's moved. Councillor Castle, seconded. Do we have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Wolf. Councillor Castle?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I really pulled this out because it is a big decision in the context of some other decisions that have been made at council. I just wanted to thank administration for the very comprehensive report that we've received and explanation that was provided, and fully support the motion and look forward to seeing the next phase.
Councillor Wolf? Does anyone else wish to speak to this item? Okay, so 17.1, unsolicited bid for the acquisition of land. Okay, all those in favour? Okay, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. So there is no further business to conduct, but I did want to acknowledge that tonight is the final meeting for a while for our governance manager, Jocelyn Collier, who is going to be leaving us to go off on maternity leave. And Jocelyn, I was given a poem which was written by your governance team, and I've been asked to read it, and I think I will. So this is, I hope we're live streaming, because if we're not, I'll be very unhappy. So it is as follows. Farewell for now to our governance queen. That's what it's entitled. Our fearless leader, cool and wise, is trading meetings for lullabies. No more audits, plans or risk, just nappies, bottles and baby bliss. You kept the council all in check, dodging conflicts. What the heck? Policies, plans, your mighty reign. Now service delivery means a baby train. So off you go, enjoy the ride with baby cuddles by your side. We'll miss you loads, no word of a lie, and we bet your bub won't comply. So congratulations. I hope you have a lovely time when you're off on maternity leave. So I thank all those in attendance and on the live stream, and I close the meeting at 6:39. Thank you. You can turn the live stream off.